Hello, welcome to Stat 432, Basics of Statistical Learning for the Fall 2020 semester. I'm David Elpiez. I'm a teaching assistant professor in the Department of Statistics. I've taught this course a bunch of times. I developed it some number of years ago and have been teaching it pretty much ever since. So here we are. That's enough about me. Let's talk about the course. This video, we're going to go through the syllabus and then a few other bits and pieces here, like a bit about the website, a bit about PrairieLearn. Might be a lengthy video because it's a pretty detailed syllabus and I have a tendency to ramble. So feel free to watch this video at something like 1.5 times speed. I have this notepad open. I might take some notes along the way just if I encounter something I want to make sure we get back to later, but we're generally going to follow the order of the syllabus. Hopefully, if you're watching this video, you've already seen an email from me and you're aware of the course website. It's actually probably easiest to get to the website if you just go to stat432.org. Pretty short, pretty easy to remember. And then just click on the relevant semester, which is fall 2020. Okay, we'll talk about the website sort of after the syllabus, so I can sort of tell you what you exactly need to do this particular week, which is week 1. But for now, we're going to look at the syllabus. Okay, righto. Hey, this is probably no longer relevant. Got to edit that out. All right, so this is Stat 432. I call it Stat 432. Some of you might be registered for Actuarial Science Risk Management, that is ASRM 451. I'm never going to call it that. If you call it that, I might not know what you're talking about just because I'm so familiar with Stat 432. So please just refer to the course as Stat 432. We're online. We all know that. If you're watching this years later, this was one of, at least one of the COVID semesters this course was happening in. All right, so again, I'm David Elpiez. I'm the instructor of the course. You can just call me Dave or David. Either one's fine. No need for Professor Delpiez or anything like that. Please don't call me Professor without a name after it, because then you're just calling me like my title. So my logical response to that would be, hello, student, instead of your name, which just seems kind of weird. Anyway, I am the instructor of the course, which sort of makes me the most visible member of the course staff, but we actually have a rather large course staff, including PhD students from the Department of Statistics, that is a teaching assistant, in this case, Tianyi. What I'm calling a course associate in Jingyu. She has been with the course. This is her third semester now. And then a new set of course assistants. These 4 are former Stat 432 students. I believe they're all from last semester. So they really know what's going on in this course. So hopefully you'll get to meet everyone along the way. Perhaps depending on what side of the globe you're residing on, you might see some of us more than others based on the times that we have office hours, but more on that later. Okay, so this is the course description. It's too long. I'm not going to read it. You can read it if you want. These are the topics we're going to cover. It's too long. You can read it if you want. These are the learning objectives. It's too long. You can read it if you want. In summary, my hope is that after this course, you can use machine learning as a part of a larger, say, computing system or as a part of a specific data analysis. I also hope that you have enough broad knowledge of sort of what is machine learning and what are some of the fundamentals that you can have a successful time in a follow-up course or do successful self-study. There's no way you can cover all of machine learning in one course. It's just not possible. So we'll try to give you the most foundational material. One note is that to any of those actuarial students in the class, this class, rather coincidentally, the objectives of this course actually line up really well with the stated objectives of exam PA. And you might even notice that the way we do a lot of the things in this course, that is using R Studio, sort of like a testing environment like the CBTF, although you won't have to go there this semester, it's all very similar. So I'm hoping this course will prep you well for exam PA. If anyone ends up taking exam PA after this course, please let me know how it works. I'd be rather curious. Okay, so in this class, there are effectively 2 textbooks. Don't buy them, they're free. So the first one is called Basics of Statistical Learning. It's my own creation, which I'm sort of have written and will be writing along the way this semester, freely available online at statisticallearning.org, and it's always going to be linked from the course website. I expect you to read the readings from here. I mean, I wrote it. I really hope you read it. The other book, which was kind of the one of the things that even gave us the idea to have an undergraduate machine learning course in the statistics department, is this book called An Introduction to Statistical Learning by James Whitten, Hasty, and Tim Shrani. This has kind of become like one of the de facto books in the field. So very good book. I kind of suggest that you read it cover to cover at some point, but we're not going to necessarily directly reference it. We'll be directly referencing sort of the text that I've more so developed. Nothing against this book. It's very good. And actually, I believe they're coming out with a second edition soon, which I'm very much looking forward to, and I would probably highly recommend. The biggest shortcoming of this book, in my opinion, is how they handle using R to do the stuff they're talking about. So my materials will hopefully provide much more detail around that aspect of it, which I sort of believe is one of the more important things if you want to actually be able to use this stuff. Again, just from the perspective of so many other people in the field have read this book and are familiar with it, you should be as well. But I think ultimately you'll get more out of following along with the course notes. Okay, so prerequisites. Long story short, if you haven't ever fit a multiple regression, you probably should not be in this class. If you've never used R before, it could get a little bit dicey. So I'm a big fan of using R, and I will spend a ton of time specifically talking about like nitty-gritty details of using R. But if you're starting from never having seen R before, that might be a bit of a problem. You can overcome it if you read this book cover to cover real quick. But sort of, I expect you to have seen, the regression material from this book that I wrote for Stat 420, and then pretty much everything from this book you should have seen. And this is more of a reference, but if you knew the material from this book, you'd be more than ready to go. But so if you've taken, say, Stat 420 or Stat 425 at the University of Illinois, you're good to go. If you haven't, consider, do you know how to do a multiple regression in R? That would be sort of a quick summary of what you need to know before you start this class. All right, so we're online. So I guess I haven't mentioned, this course will be run asynchronously, meaning like I'm sitting in my office recording these videos, and I'll post them on both YouTube and Illini Media Space, and you can watch them at your own leisure. So in terms of communicating, we don't have the usual lecture time to communicate. It's just me talking sort of at you through these videos. So the 3 ways that we can have two-way communication are office hours, Piazza, and email. And sort of in that order is my preference for those various forms of communication. So first to office hours. We hope to have a lot of office hours. And right now, this is the tentative schedule. I mean, I guess I should say that given the times that we live in, sort of everything is tentative. But our hope is to provide a blend of office hour times that'll work for folks that are in Champaign, but also sort of spread out across the globe, as I imagine that we are. So myself, the TA, and all the course assistants will I'll be doing office hours. You can see some of them that we're already planning. Some folks are still sort of figuring out. The problem is that everyone's playing this waiting game to sort of like see what their schedule will really be like because everything's so uncertain. So we don't have it completely locked down. But in addition to having them in the syllabus here, every week I will put in the website the very specific hours that are going to happen that week. But basically our goal is that we don't want anyone to go without access to office hours. If somehow none of the times that we offer work for you, let us know. We'll figure something out. Yeah. Oh, and obviously office hours aren't private meetings. They're, the whole class is there. If you have some sort of private issue you need to discuss, shoot me an email, suggest some times to jump on a call and talk if that's how you want to do it, and we'll work it out. Okay. After that, Piazza is our next preferred method, just so that everyone can sort of see what's going on there. So this is the link to get there. You have to use this access code to actually get into the Piazza. I have some notes here about posting on Piazza. I would really appreciate if you read these and followed them. I think it'll make things go much more smoothly when answering questions. So, I mean, myself and the course staff will spend a ton of time on Piazza. It would be really helpful if you kind of make our lives that much easier. The big one that I think people aren't used to is I would always rather you overshare code for quizzes than undershare code. If other people utilize your code to do the quizzes and then don't know the material, that's their problem when it comes to exam time. But I want to be able to talk about the issues you're having, so I want you to post your code. But with that is the idea that I want to be able to run your code. So you need to give me all of the code necessary for me to copy paste your code, run it myself, and get your exact error message. So yeah, I think that might be a bit of a deviation from what other classes expect, but that's how we're going to do things here. And I found that works pretty well. But please do this. Oh, also, please do not ever post a screenshot of code. I'm not going to retype your code. I want to copy paste it. I want to do this as fast as possible. Please do not do that. Okay, that's enough about Piazza. All right, email. It's a long email policy. Please read it. Also, please follow it. I know I sound annoying with this huge email policy. One bit of this is more important than any other part, which is this. Emails from you must originate from your Illinois email account. I will not answer course questions about emails that do not come from your Illinois email account. That part is not for my benefit. That is for your benefit. You might not realize it, but there are some serious privacy concerns if I were to answer course questions from not originating from Illinois email account. So I just will not. I'll tell you, nope, I'm not answering this email. Try again if you send it from a non-Illinois account. Right. Okay. Enough about that. Here are our emails if you need to email us. All right. So yeah, again, I guess I could have just talked about this here. This is just saying that I want to be able to talk about code, and to do that, you have to post the code. So again, I'm all for oversharing code, not undersharing code, except for when it comes to the exam, like obviously. All right, so what are you gonna do in this course? So one of the things you're gonna do is watch these videos. But that's probably the least important thing. The important thing is what are the course activities that you're going to participate in to help you learn the material. So the first of these are quizzes on the PrairieLearn system. I'm not going to talk about this too much now because I'm going to go into the system later and actually do part of a quiz to show you some of that. The important thing about these is that they're unlimited attempts. And I have this sort of policy about rolling deadlines. So quiz 1 is due Friday, August 28th. if you complete all of quiz 1 before that time and get 100%, you actually end up with 105%. Don't get your hopes up. That's not extra credit. It's what I call buffer points, but bear with me. Then you have an entire another week, if you don't finish it then, to still get 100%. And then another week where you still get 85% of the available credit. So hopefully, I mean, it's a COVID semester. Things are going to get hectic. Hopefully that gives you some flexibility. Although I would strongly advise trying to keep up with the 105% deadline. To get access to the course on PrairieLearn, you click this link, click the add course button, find Stat 432, get in. Do that as soon as possible, but I'll go through that later. Right. Okay. There will be an exam. Normally there's 2 or 3 exams in this class, but because it's the COVID semester, we're just going to do one. We're going to use something called the CBTF Online, the documentation of which you can find here. Where this says student instructions, I sort of expect you to read all of this. We'll talk about this much more when we get closer to the exam. But bottom line, the exam is going to be extremely similar to the quizzes. It's going to be so similar that the only difference is that there's going to be only a certain amount of time that you have, and you're going to have a device with a webcam looking at you and your computer while you do it, so your phone, basically, and a proctor through Zoom. We're not using Proctorio. We're not using ProctorU or any service that requires a fee. We're using the CBTF Online, which is a university-developed and funded program where basically it's the least invasive thing we can do to have some security around our exams. You'll basically be in a Zoom call with a proctor, talking to people that have used it over the summer. It's one of the nicer systems. But more on that when we get there, but do know that will be part of the course. The part of the course that I think I'm most looking forward to is sort of, we're going to start with quizzes, do an exam, do a few more quizzes. I'll come back and talk about the schedule. And then at the end of the course, we're going to be like, all right, let's apply this stuff. So we're going to do 4 data analyses. I have some specific policies that I'll release around that when we get there. But one note now, I have a few data sets in mind, but if anyone has a data set that they're like, oh, this would be a super cool sort of like project, it's like a mini project basically to do in this class, let me know about it, and maybe I'll make it the assignment. Ultimately, I want to do analyses that people care about. Like, you can only analyze the home prices in Kings County, Washington so many times, but like, who cares? So if you have a data set that's freely available that we could potentially use for analysis, let me know. We can chat about that. So this is an overview of the assignments, the deadlines, that is. Note that right now the exam is slated for the week of October 5th. It will be at one specific time on one specific day, but there will be conflicts available if you're, say, at a bad time zone or something. But more on that closer to the exam. All right, course technology. We're going to use R. And if you're using R in 2020 and not using R Studio, I question how effectively you're using R, unless you're some sort of like Emacs person, but then you don't even need to be talking to me about how to program. You can figure it out yourself. So make sure you have both R and R Studio on your computer, but most importantly, make sure you have the most recent versions of both of those. There'll be a follow-up video to this one about setting that all up. Hopefully you've already done that, but if not, that would be a good thing to do. I would say pause this video right now, go watch that video, set up your R Studio. We're going to use Compass, kind of. So for the first, 3/4 of the semester, you'll never even need to log into Compass. The only thing I'll be using Compass for is to send out announcements. That way, there's a record of it in Compass, and it automatically goes out to the whole roster. But I probably won't even start doing that for a little while, because right now the roster is very unstable, so I'll probably be doing things through email. When we'll ultimately use Compass is when we get to the analyses and we need to turn them in there, because everything that comes before that will be done through PrairieLearn. So if you just registered and you're watching this video and you're like, oh, I don't have access to Compass yet, don't worry about it. You don't need it. And anyone can add the course on PrairieLearn, so no big deal there. All right, so in terms of grading, the 4 analyses will total 25% of your grade. The 1 exam will total 25% of your grade. The quizzes, so what will happen is we'll take your percentage on each quiz, of which there's 9 for undergraduates and a 10th for graduates. But you average those, and it's either your score, or if with those buffer points you get above 100, it's just 100. So the idea of the buffer points is it can get you up to 100 if you lose points elsewhere, but you can't get sort of quote unquote extra credit with them. So that's sort of how that works. Here's the grading scale. It's pretty standard, except for A plus requires you get 99%. There's reasons for that, but we don't really need to get into it. But just remember that A plus and A don't have a difference in GPA, so technically I should be able to do whatever I want with A plus. But I used to do like the top 5 people in the class, but people complain about that, so I set a cutoff, but I just set it high. So there you go. All right, so this is my little blurb about grade disputes. So the deal here is that, and this doesn't apply too much in this class because of the way we use PrairieLearn, but if you have an issue with the way something was graded, you have 1 week from the time you get feedback to let us know about it. And you can't just say, hey, regrade this. You have to say, hey, you graded this incorrectly for the following reason, and have a justification. You also have to agree that if you do that, then it's fair game for us to do the same analysis for every other problem on the same assignment in the opposite direction. The reason for this is sort of a bit based on my views of grading and how it's a systematic component plus some noise, and the noise benefits you positively and negative, and it all washes out in the end, but we don't need to talk about that too much here. Just know that, but the biggest thing is, like, if a grade gets entered incorrectly, although that shouldn't happen given the systems that we're doing, like if someone accidentally enters a 1 instead of a 10, yeah, let us know about that immediately, but you still have 1 week to do it. Otherwise it does become final. The point there is to keep you on your toes and make sure you're keeping track of your grades. We don't want your grade to be a surprise at the end of the semester. We want you to know how you're doing throughout the semester. This is the section that says don't cheat. I shouldn't have to elaborate on this, but basically my thing is don't share code. I'm going to undercut myself. With respect to the exams, like, obviously don't share code. I don't have a problem with you posting code on Piazza. I kind of would have a problem if you typed up all the code necessary to complete a quiz, saved it, and sent it to another student. That would be a bit of an issue to me. Outside of posting it on Piazza, where everyone can see it and then has equal access to it, the rules should be you can use spoken language, that is like the English language or whatever spoken language you would prefer to talk to someone with, to discuss your code, but you shouldn't use code to talk about code, if that makes sense. The other thing is that do not upload any course material from this course to a website like Course Hero or Chegg, or anything that is a for-profit repository of course materials. You can share my course materials with whoever you want, but any of these services profiting off of that, and then worse than that, students paying for access to something that I believe they should have free access to, would make me very upset. So if I find any 432 material on any of these sites, I will be extremely upset, and maybe I won't run the website so publicly, which people seem to like. So please do not do that. This is some information about safety. I don't think this really applies this semester because we're not in a classroom, but you should be aware of this anyway. DRES accommodations. 2 things here. If you have accommodations with DRES, obviously please let me know by providing a letter of accommodation as soon as possible. But more important than that, if you are a student who is registered with DRES, you need to let the CBTF know that. In particular, you want to email Carlene. the CBTF will take care of your DRES accommodations for you without having to go through DRES. It's actually pretty fantastic, the system they developed here. So let me know for the sake of letting me know, but most importantly, let the CBTF know, because that'll make scheduling your exam so easy. Okay. Where were we? The extended syllabus. So this is a link to my website where I have some notes on teaching and sort of my philosophy on teaching, and maybe a little bit of advice for you. Let's see. Some of this we've already talked about. I would like to highlight this section here. You know, the world's kind of not so great these days, right? And let's all try to take care of ourselves. Like, you know, obviously we don't want anyone to get COVID, but even beyond getting sick, you know, you kind of, in a normal semester, you'd want to guard against sort of like getting run down at the end of the semester. And, you know, now if you get run down and you're, you know, lacking sleep and good diet and good exercise, that, you know, makes exposure to COVID even worse. So hopefully, you know, you got some time on your hands right now, and, you know, you could, you know, focus on eating a little bit better, focus on exercising a little bit more, focusing on, you know, developing good sleep habits. I'm not saying like, you know, worry about these things and drive yourself crazy, but I'm just saying like, you know, a little less pizza and beer, a little bit more protein, vegetables, and fiber. A little less sitting around playing video games, a little more going for a walk, or, you know, going for a bike ride or playing a sport or something outside while maintaining social distancing. You know, I'm not saying go to bed at 8 o'clock every night, but I am saying, you know, develop a sleep routine, get some earplugs if you live in the dorms. Oh my gosh. Ugh, I don't know how because you want to sleep in the coldest, darkest, quietest room possible. And, you know, unfortunately, we don't all have control over these variables, but the noise one, cheap earplugs go a long way. Also, you know, we're staring at screens all day long. Please adjust the color temperature at night. You know, if you're on Mac, you can use the built-in software. I find that Flux works better, but if you've never used this before, use it for a couple weeks and then turn it off one night and look at your screen, and you'll be like, how did I ever not use this? My eyes hurt. Something to think about. Give this a read if you're interested. It'll just give you some insight into how I think about going about teaching. Okay. Oh, and then this is what I call the Darth Vader clause. Meaning, if you haven't seen Star Wars, the contract is sort of the contract. The syllabus is sort of a contract that we enter in together. Like, this is the deal. This is how we're going to navigate the semester. But I, as the instructor, reserve the right to make any change that I feel academically advisable, and I will notify you of those changes. You know, something's going to change in this semester. Like, it's, you know, things are uncertain, so we sort of have to deal with that. All right, so we made it through the syllabus. I talked about the extended syllabus. Let's go back to the homepage. Oh, it's the start of the semester. I'm not used to talking so much. Again, my throat's going to get dry all the time. All right. Website. This is sort of your one-stop shop for like, all right, what do I need to do this week? So last week, hopefully, you read the syllabus. You read the extended syllabus. Oh, there's 10 simple rules for success in Stat 432. I would read this too. This is like not my thoughts on teaching. This is my thoughts on explicitly teaching Stat 432. I won't go over this right now. I want to highlight this one. Sometimes students do this thing where they basically overfit, which I guess is not good language to use since you haven't learned what that means yet. They overfit to things they've previously learned. Which, I mean, it's good that you know the things you previously learned, but there's two mistakes that often happen. Two, right? This might just be one. Basically, you learn something in a certain context, and now we're changing the context. So just because you learned something in one context doesn't mean it applies in another context. So I guess I just say this too: keep an open mind, and don't try so hard to drag in every single thing you learn from other stat courses. Try to focus on the things we're learning here, and think of the situations that they apply to. Is there anything else here I should mention now? No, yeah, please read this though. This will give you really deep insight into sort of how I think about this course, and that'll help you navigate dealing with me, / dealing with the course. Okay, this reading here is inside of the textbook itself. It's a lot about dealing with R. So, oh gosh, there's reading within the readings. This is some reading that could potentially help you sharpen your R skills. Is it necessary? No. Is it useful? Yes. I sort of wrote some notes here about how to best utilize that reading. I'm not saying you have to read 4 books before you start this course. Additional resources, we might mention these throughout, but this section here about Stat 432, again, there's a follow-up video that should already be on the website. I'll show it to you in a second maybe. But these 3 things, this messing with your workspace settings, very important. Getting your R version up to date, very important. Making sure your packages are up to date, very important. Again, follow-up video on that, but it bears repeating that this is very important for this course. And then the rest of this is sort of some notes specific to helping you best use R in 432. Wow, there's a lot of reading already. Quiz 0, we don't need to talk about, but I will mention it when I get into PrairieLearn. All right, so that was last week. Let's talk about this week, which is the first week of class for real. So if you haven't read the syllabus, read the syllabus. If you haven't read the extended syllabus, read the extended syllabus. If you haven't read the 10 Simple Rules for Success in Stat 432, read that. All right, so this week is going to be a review / overview week. So the quiz is going to have some probability and statistics questions that you essentially should have been able to do based on your time and stay Stat 400 and then either 420 or 425. I have some reading here on probability and some reading here on statistics, which will be about how to do these things a little bit in Stat 432. We sort of expect you to read those, but ultimately the things we're going to ask you to do, we sort of expect you to know how to do already. This computing reading is the same as this one because you really need to do that. Then there's the accompanying videos. Like obviously this is the video you're watching right now, so I can't click it and show it to you right now. But these are some more content type videos. I post to both YouTube and MediaSpace. I find that YouTube, I think most people use, but if for some reason you don't want to give your data to Google or you can't access Google resources, we're mirroring things on MediaSpace. MediaSpace also has some nice features that YouTube doesn't. Most importantly, this download section here. So like if you had sporadic access to internet, you could download the videos. I would note that I believe this download link only appears if you're logged into MediaSpace. So just keep that in mind. What else? Office hours. This is what we plan to do this week. This could change at any moment because everyone's still scrambling for their schedules. Except for mine, 7 o'clock p.m. Champaign. All times are always going to be listed in Champaign time. I'll be there at 7 o'clock, which I think works kind of most places that students are populated. Maybe not Europe, sorry. We'll get you some other times, obviously. But yeah. Okay. So that's a bit about the website. Also up here is the links to the various resources. Oh, there's this FAQ page. That's mostly for me to send to students when they email me about this course pre-semester. That's not super important. This exam page here has a lot more information about the exam. Go ahead and read it. Some of it might not be super relevant until you get used to the PrairieLearn system, but that will be there. And then this is blank for now because we haven't developed those assignments yet. Righto. Okay, so let's check out PrairieLearn. So these links to the quizzes just link to PrairieLearn. Again, like we see that I'm already in this course, but if you're not, just click this button here, find Staff 432, and you'll get into the course. This is what I see, but let's change it to what you see. Okay, so if you log in, you'll see this. So quiz 0 doesn't count for anything. I just posted that last week, so folk could start testing out PrairieLearn if they wanted to. But it does allow me to show a bit about the credit ranges, right? So quiz 0 was due for 105% credit last week on Friday, or so like 2 days ago, or it's Sunday when I'm recording this. So we see that quiz 1 still has 105% until the end of this week. And if you click these question marks here, it shows you the very specific potential deadlines. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so let's click into the quiz. I'm going to read this. So it says, you have unlimited attempts at each question. True. Please be aware of the available credit ranges and their associated deadlines. Again, that's up here. And if we click this question mark, more detail. You can and likely should use R for all questions. I mean, if there's no computation involved, you don't need R, like conceptual questions. But R is fair game in this course. You can use it for every question all the time. It always irks me when students try to pull up a normal table to solve a question. I'm like, oh, no, use R. And then, so often you'll be given a question. You need to go to R to do some stuff, and then copy and paste a numeric answer, and we'll sort of see how that goes. Okay, so let's do this. So here is a question. So this is a question that's a checkbox. So this is sort of saying, select all that apply. So which of the following are acceptable email subjects when emailing the course staff? Okay. That looks good. Let's see if I can do this. That looks good. That looks good. That's no good because there's not a space here. This is no good because there's not a space here. This is not good because it says stats, not stat. There's no such thing as stat. It's stat. This looks good. This is bad. It's the right format, but this subject is useless to me. I did it. Okay. So with these, you'll often be given, not in these questions, not in checkbox questions, but you'll be given feedback about, did you get it right or not? So that's pretty boring. Those are the checkbox questions. We'll have those from time to time. The more interesting type of questions that we're going to do are these numeric ones. So let's look at this one because it doesn't necessarily have R involved in it. So we have this problem here, and let's say I did it and I got 3, 4, 5, and 6 as the answers. That's clearly not the answer. Excuse me. Hit save and grade. Ooh, got it all wrong. So what happens then, in this correct answer box, there'll be 2 things. The correct answers. Excellent. And then some helpful hints. This hint is not particularly helpful. This links back to my website for Staff 400, where you can find information on solving those types of problems. But so now you have the answers here, and you could sort of work on this, make sure you understand the process. And then what you do is you say, try question again. You get a new set of numbers, but it's a similar question, and then you proceed from there. Okay. Sorry. Now let's do something like this. So here's another type of question. So these will kind of be the bread and butter of this class. This is from my last video. We don't need this. Okay. So the way this works is you're given some starter code and you're asked to solve this problem. So what you do is you copy paste that code into your session. You then solve the problem, which, let's see. I want to take the mean of that, right? And then a square root. Except I need to run the code. Okay. Copy all of the digits, bring it over here. I don't feel like doing the second problem. Save and grade. Oh no. I forgot something. Okay, I'll fix that in a second. So, this is actually really good. So each new variant of the question will generate data using a new seed. Ooh, got to pay attention to that. Do not use a for loop. Well, I'm not. I did this already. Okay, so got to try again. So I'm going to have new starter code because the seed is different, right? So we see that change. The problem was I forgot to do a square root, pretty sure. Okay, run all of your code from top to bottom because, again, the seed changed. Get this number here. I don't feel like doing the other one. Cool. So, this is a good time to note this. So, again, on the homework or quiz, whatever we want to call it, the weekly exercises you're going to do, you have unlimited attempts. You'll get the answers after each submission. You'll get a different question each new submission, and you'll get these helpful hints. On the exam, it'll be the same process. It'll be through PrairieLearn. It'll be a quiz. It'll be these types of questions, except that it will not be unlimited attempts. It'll be something like 6 total attempts. You will not get a new question and the answers each time. You'll just have 6 attempts at the same static numbers for the question. And you will not get these submission hints. So you'll only be given this information here. So keep that in mind. So don't get into the habit of just like submitting some random stuff to get to these. Try it once. And know that the questions on the quizzes have like a 50% chance, not 50% chance, they have like there's some chance that a quiz question will reappear on an exam. So be aware of that. Okay. We talked about this. Let's see. Yeah, so you can see your progress here. So you want to get, once you get to 61 out of 61 on this particular assignment, that's when that extra 5% buffer kicks in. Right, okay, I'm going to close a lot of these tabs. Actually, we're going to go back here. Okay, so I'm just going to look at the website to see if there's anything that I forgot. I feel like this is a ton of information to take in, so obviously read the syllabus again. If I forgot anything, or if you have questions, time to hit up Piazza and I'll answer it there. I think that's it. So to recap, read the syllabus. Potentially read these extra syllabusy things. Read all of these things. Head to office hours this week if you want to say hi or have a question. Watch this and these other videos and do quiz 1. I think that's it. Yeah. So, I like teaching this class. I generally have a lot of fun. I think folks generally get a lot out of this class, both from the perspective of like you're learning a new statistical methodology that is some machine learning, but also I tend to emphasize like good practice in using R, and I think people often most gravitate towards that for use in later, internships and job type stuff. Yeah. So hopefully you get a lot out of it. Obviously, this is no one's favorite semester. We'll try our best to make everything flexible and accessible. If there's something that's not working, let us know. So we can do our best under the, making assumptions about the sort of obstacles that you all are facing. But, if there's something impeding your progress in the course, let us know. That's your best chance to get it solved by us. Like we can guess, but there's there's so many unknowns right now. It's best if you just let us know the exact issue that you're having. Yeah. Okay. Wow. That was a long video, but I guess this would have fit inside of a 50-minute Monday, Wednesday, Friday class. So that's cool. Most videos will hopefully be shorter than this, but my general sign off, which is extremely applicable here, is if you made it to the bitter end of the video, good job, and I'll see you in the next one.